this lore call is going to be unlike the others because Lantern Rite was very unexpected for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think is the best way to put it. I didn't expect it to go so deep on the lore and especially on the moon stuff and Zibai as a whole. I don't know. I just didn't expect it. I expected it to be kind of similar to last year where it's focused on one existing character. I kind of forgot Zibai was going to be a thing. But I guess we can start it off just by talking about Lantern Rite itself. What did you think?
Oh, I thought it was really cute. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if it's going to top or if anything can top Gaming's for me because Gaming's was really good. And so was Xiao's. The story, the emotional side, like the struggle between international parent plus a kid that's chasing the American dream kind of story. Even though it's not exactly that, it's like, you know, a lot of people can relate to it. It was good. It was good. I still liked it. I still really, really liked it. And I liked Zibai too. And I like how I agree with you in that this was crazy lore intensive from beginning to end, especially with the reveal with Zhongli at the end.
Yeah, we'll get to that soon, trust me.
What did you think of it?
Dude, I loved it. It was my favorite Lantern Rite.
Oh, I love that. It was really good. It was really, really good.
I think the story was super good. It's not like I related to it at all, but I don't know. It was just a very interesting story, quite dark, quite twisted, and the whole thing with Longan and the nail, and finally getting some confirmation on all that was wild.
The nail was crazy. What was your reaction? Because wasn't that like the first cutscene?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like the only cutscene.
Oh, true, because the other one was like an artistic one or something like that.
Yeah, so it was the only kind of like 3D rendered in-game cutscene. Which I'm not super mad about. I realized at the very end of Lantern Rite that was the only one we had, and I was like, you know what? If I didn't realize it during the quest, clearly that just means the quest was that good.
And then I think the last scene was very stylized, I think, right? Like the very last cutscene. I thought that was still pretty.
My reaction to the cutscene, the original one, was sadness.
Oh.
I mean, we had the character teaser for Zibai, where we got a little bit of information. I think that one was the one with the little girl.
Yeah, everyone thought was Chi-Chi or something.
Yeah, very kind of paralleling Chi-Chi maybe a little bit, even with the flowers, the mountain flowers.
Yeah. I like that explanation, parallel to Chi-Chi.
Yeah, but then
not quite Chi-Chi.
I don't know, man. The cutscene was just insane. Like actually getting to see the nail come down was we finally saw it, right? I mean, that's the big thing that a lot of people have been wanting to see. Sure, it didn't happen now, like in this day and age, for example, but.
Right.
We saw a nail descend from Celestia to Teyvat, even if it was in the past.
I actually liked seeing that there were gods, or not, she's not really a god, she's more like a divine envoy, but there were still beings that were against that act happening. And it was nice to see Zibai do something about it. Because I always wondered, in the past, like there had to have been other gods. Oh, and Istaroth. Oh, my mind is all over the place. That was Istaroth's first in-game appearance, I think. Even if it was just her hands or something.
Yeah, I guess right? we did actually get to see the hands. Yeah, I was thinking the silhouette, but yes, you're right.
Or this, silhouette too. Yeah,
silhouette and hands. You're right. It was her first appearance in the actual video game, which is kind of crazy.
What did you think?
Nothing.
Nothing about Istaroth.
Because we've already seen her in the trailer, I was like, there really wasn't any hype there for me for Istaroth during that time.
Okay, that's
genuinely
fair.
Like, if she made an actual appearance, it would be very different. But because it was still basically just a tease, it was just the hands that we've seen already. It was a silhouette. I was like, oh, that's cool. But I mean, I missed it the first time we saw it. I missed it. I had to go rewatch it to see it. So yeah, I wasn't like blown away by Istaroth showing up, but the rest of the cutscene, I still think, and I said this, it was not only my favorite Lantern Rite, but it was my favorite Lantern Rite cutscene by far. By far.
I love her so much more now, because I feel like for Zibai, we always knew she was going to be a lore-intensive character when they introduced her as, oh, she's Istaroth's daughter.
Yes.
She's related. She has something to do with the Three Moons. But just, I don't know, I loved her character. And then what do you call it, when she splits herself into the three...
Deadly selves.
What is it called? Is it three divine? Yeah, the three selves, yeah. That was so cool. I don't know. I liked everything about her. It made me like her more, actually. I was already intrigued by her lore, but then the whole story made me even more intrigued by her. And I think she's probably one of my favorite Yuya characters now.
Me too.
Because of it.
Me too. Yeah. I think the characterization was really good. I did want to ask you something about Zibai specifically, and the three deadly selves. Of course, we have the three deadly selves. I can't remember the names exactly. I remember Zichao because that was like the one in the final act, I think. But we have the deadly self with the red eyes, or pinkish eyes, I guess. The one with the blue eyes and the one with the yellow eyes, right? Do you
the
think
three
that
moon
is...
sisters.
Yeah, do you think it's supposed to be referencing the three moon sisters, not only in color, but also the way they act? Because I realized that with the red-eyed one is angry, and so it was Sonnet, right?
Crimson Moon, yeah.
She was the only one that was like pretty pissed off at the Heavenly Principles at that point when we went back in time during the Archon quest, and the other two were kind of similar to the other deadly selves, which I thought was a really cool, neat little detail.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're right, because the colors were definitely intentional, because it was like what we're used to seeing her with gold with green in the middle. I think you're onto something with that detail.
I do love the fact as well that we get to learn about the three deadly selves, and then when we do bring her back as Zibai, and the three deadly selves haven't, I think Zhongli worded it as they haven't settled yet, and they keep coming out at random points, right? Like if she gets, if somebody pisses her off, she gets all red and red-eyed, and then if someone's trying to take advantage, she gets the blue eyes and the mathematician comes out, and it's cool. It's a very cool detail, and I feel like the further we got into the quest, especially in the epilogue, we kind of saw that she is definitely still battling with that, with the deadly selves, trying to settle them into one being, but even by the end of the quest, she didn't quite manage it. She definitely got better, because there was one scene with, remember the two kids where they were complaining about what they wanted to plant, cucumbers or some flower, canola, I think? The red eyes were still out, so that deadly self was out, but she was actually acting quite chill.
Yeah, she wasn't that angry.
So it was like she's like slowly coming to terms with these deadly selves. They're slowly settling, like, yes, the angry deadly self is out, but she's not always angry with it, which I thought was a really cool detail if it was intentional.
What's kind of cool is that, remember the three moon sisters?
Yep.
One of their prerogatives was they didn't want to merge everything and all of their divine authorities into one being.
Yep.
And they warned Columbina that it could be dangerous for her if they were to combine all authorities into one being. And it's interesting that we see a parallel of that happening with Zibai, in that for her, merging all three divine selves into one it's a little unstable, right? That's why, like what you said, Zhongli was like, they need to settle. And it's kind of like, oh, it's cool. It's a cool parallel, because she's also a divine envoy or a moon envoy. And it's kind of interesting that there's a parallel with the three moon goddesses' divine authorities and how it works as well.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to point it out because it was along the lines of what you were saying.
What a fucking quest. What a story.
It was good. And then the ending with, Lord of Geo, Heaven's Star.
Heaven's Star. I was going to say, this was what I was going to say as well. This lore chat is probably going to feel very all over the place compared to others, because genuinely, I don't think there is that much that came up during this Lantern Rite to discuss, but the things that did come up and the things that were shown were just very cool. I think it's worth talking about.
Yeah. I agree.
It wasn't like the Archon quest where there was like 50 different things to discuss and oh my god, huge revelation.
No.
But Zhongli being Heaven's Star, I'm hoping you can shed some light on this, because I saw that and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And then we asked Zibai and she's like, well, I don't know.
She's like, I don't really know what it was. She's like, I know he's called that, but I don't know why. And I was like, girl. As much as I love Zibai, I've been spiraling about the Zhongli lore that was released due to that. So the fun fact about Heaven's Star, Heavenly Star, is that Zhongli has actually been referred to as that more explicitly in the Chinese version of the game. So Zhongli's name card actually already lists him as Heaven's Star. His burst attack in the Genshin Impact TCG also lists him as Heaven's Star. So I think to people who play in the original language of Genshin Impact, this is no surprise. But to other people who play the localized version, it's probably a big surprise. You're just kind of like, huh? Like what? One of the major things that I think of in regards to the so-called Heaven Star is the morning stars. So for example, in the lore of the three moons, there were moons and there were also beings called the morning stars. And if you read Zibai's character story, it actually sheds a little bit more light into that. I think specifically her moon wheel, because Zibai, I think, was a divine envoy, and she was assigned to the morning stars as well as the moons, and she got to see how both of them co-ruled Teyvat. So for example, the moons were very sympathetic towards people. The morning stars, however, they didn't care about punishing humans, whether it was harsh or not. all they cared about was following through with the Heavenly Principles' divine plan. Whatever plan they had for, they called Teyvat a garden, which is kind of interesting because you're like cultivating, you're cultivating an environment or something. It makes me feel like, oh, is Teyvat like an experiment or something? I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense, right? The whole Tory stuff.
It does.
I mean,
yeah, it does. It's crazy how all of these little pieces tie together. But anyway, so with the morning stars, Zibai is here observing the difference between how they carry out the Heavenly Principles' divine plan. The moons are very sympathetic. They're actually the ones, the implication is that they almost seem to be taking care of the aftermath, like taking care of people after they get punished by the morning stars, or after the morning stars carry out the punishment that they're ordered to do. And they do so like indiscriminately. If the Heavenly Principles is like, oh yeah, I want you to punish this nation, I want you to punish that, they'll be like, okay, cool, we'll do it for you. And she calls him Heaven Star. It gives me the impression that in the past, during the primordial era of Teyvat, he must have been some kind of tier similar to the Moon Sisters, because that's why they draw that comparison between the morning stars and the moons, and how they operated under this system in old Teyvat. Like before the Archons existed, this is kind of what they were, right? So it makes me think, because Heaven Star is such a specific title, and I think it's very different from Morning Star. It makes me think that, yeah, that he's on par with the Moon Sisters, and that he probably oversaw the morning stars. And I was thinking too, because it kind of ties into Zhongli was the one that taught Zibai the method of the 3 deadly selves.
Zhongli was?
Yeah, Zhongli was actually the one that taught her the technique. At least that's the major implication from her character story.
Oh, I didn't see the character story. Sorry, for some reason in my head I assumed it was Easteroth.
Pretty sure it was Zhongli.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, because in her character story, she encounters 3 people fighting each other. And then she hears Lord of Geo, Heaven Star, and then they all merge into one. And then Zhongli, like that person was the one that taught her, oh, this is the technique of splitting yourself into the 3 deadly selves. And it's kind of, it's almost like it's a major form of disassociation, because it's like you're separating your impure thoughts from your actual self. And I was like, well, why the heck would Zhongli need to know that kind of technique? Unless there's a part of him that didn't agree with the Heavenly Principles plan, and he needed to split himself into these 3 different beings in order to be effective as Heaven Star. Because if you disassociate and you're like, oh, I'm not, there's a reason why I'm carrying out these punishments. There's a reason why I'm doing what the Heavenly Principles wants me to do, and it's for the greater good. And I have to disassociate from, like, treating these individual people as individual people, and recognizing that they're getting hurt from whatever you're carrying out. Then I feel like if he split himself, if he removed that part of his consciousness that was against the Heavenly Principle, then he'd be effective in his role, or whatever role he's been assigned to. So I don't know, that was just one of the thoughts that I had, because I was like, okay, why the morning stars seem like they're kind of negative, right? Or they have a negative connotation to them. So I'm like, so why would he need to learn that? So that was the only connection I could kind of find for now of why Zhongli would need to even know that technique, I guess, to begin with. I'm spiraling with Zhongli lore, clearly. He's such an awesome character.
You can continue to spiral, man.
He's an awesome character. And I'm like, that's so, the Zhongli of the past, if that's who he really was, let's say he was the Heaven Star, he oversaw the morning stars, and maybe he was carrying out it's a way more harsh punishment than we're used to seeing. I'm like, that's such a cool difference in his character, like the person he was before and the person he was now, because now he's like, oh, I want humans to learn how to be independent without deities, without gods. I want them to learn how to rely on themselves. And that's very different from the plan, or the so-called divine plan that the Heavenly Principles had, because they were like, oh, as long as the humans listen, as long as they cooperate, as long as there's peace in the garden, and there's going to be peace in the world, right? According to the Byakuyokoku collection. Yeah. So it's just interesting how much of a different person Zhongli is. And I'm just like, oh, does he still know that technique now? And is he still split? Is he whole? Like, there's so many questions now. Are we going to see like a different form of Zhongli come into the picture? Like,
I mean, it would be kind of cool. I mean, we obviously know that it would also be not exactly a direct parallel, but could it maybe be something that Dottore used in his research to learn how to make segments?
Whoa, okay, I didn't even draw that connection. That was a good one.
I mean, because it's a long time ago, right? And we know that he's been known to travel back far to gather information, especially for the moons. who's saying he didn't do something with segments, right? To be able to learn this stuff. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Zhongli and Dottore, weirdly, and I know this is very weird, but they do share a couple of parallels. I mean, if that is the case where they can both kind of split themselves into different parts, and they both can now rival the divine, right? I saw somebody post about it the other day, like with Zhongli knowing that we know that he can rival the divine, we don't know if he's gonna, right? We know Dottore is actively trying, but with him being the Lord of Geo Heaven's Star, I am curious where they're gonna take that. And to be honest, I'm curious if they're even going to take it anywhere until next frickin' Lantern Rite.
I wonder too if Heaven Star also has an association with, you've probably heard this, the Solar Chariot. Because the Solar Chariot during, I believe, the Primordial War. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's the Primordial War. There's a discrepancy in the text, I think, or maybe there's just a discrepancy in my head. Either this happened during the Archon War, like it couldn't stand the bloodshed and it tried to leave, and then it crashed and created the chasm, and then the people of the chasm had to help rebuild it and then send it back up into space. The timeline doesn't work if it happened during the Archon War, but it does work if it happened during the Primordial War, where it's just like the being that because they said the Morning Stars piloted the Solar Chariot. So, and then they tried to leave because they couldn't stand the bloodshed, and then they eventually made it back into space or something like that. So I think because I think there's a lot of association between Zhongli and the sun, because if you remember in Nibelung's, his murals, there's always the 3 moons, and then behind one of the moons is a sun. So if there's the 3 moons and a 3 moon sister, then that means there has to be a being that's kind of in charge of the sun, even during the time of the dragons, right? So there had to have been like avatar of the sun. I don't know how to say. I guess a god or a representative of it. And then I remember, I believe in Zhongli's story quest, Ajdaha refers, it's in a poetic way. I don't think it's quite the straightforward way, but in a poetic way he refers to Zhongli as the sun, because he goes like, oh, I'm just a blind dragon looking for my son. So he in that analogy he insinuates that Zhongli is like sunlight, right? Because he's the one that gave him his sight. But it would be really funny if Zhongli ended up being related to the Solar Chariot, ended up being a sun god or something like that, and then that one little hint, that one little poetic line in Zhongli's story quest from Ajdaha was the only like nudge hint we had.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I feel like they've given us just enough information to make us curious, but not enough information for us to build off of ourselves.
I agree. Yeah. And this is how I feel about Traveler Spaceship as well, and the AI on it. It's like they give us enough information to be like, well, it could go in so many ways, but nothing definitive, especially when they bring the most, it's like the one variable that's kind of hard to decipher at the moment. And it's the fact that the Traveler implies that the twin could have been pulled out of the ship thousands of years ago, even before it crash landed to Nodcry. And I'm just like, okay, I was like, I need to store that information in the vault because that's messing with my brain right now.
Couple of things make me curious. When you were just talking about Zhongli's story quest and stuff, I went back to see a couple of things about when he released. You know, the patch that he was released in, 1.1, was called A New Star Approaches.
No! You're right, because that's the name of the first Archon quest or something, right? Yeah, you're right, because Star could be associated with Outlander, right? And there's also the insinuation. Remember, many years ago, a lot of people were like, oh, is Zhongli a descender? Because he can remember Rukkhadevata, because he remembered that there's only 2 original Archons, right? And if he wasn't immune to Irminsul tampering, then he wouldn't remember that, but he does. And it's funny because they change the text, but they don't change the number. They don't change the 2 to a 3. So that's how you know, oh, they know what they're doing. Like, they kept that there on purpose, basically. The fact that Zhongli remembers there's only 2 original Archons, including himself. And it's also the fact that I think Skirk, I think there's a big discrepancy regarding Skirk, right? Because Skirk is an Outlander, but she's not a Descender, but it doesn't seem like she's affected by Irminsul changes, which means if that's true for Skirk, that means Outlanders in general aren't affected by Irminsul changes. So if Zhongli is a Outlander, then it makes sense for him to still remember there being 2 Archons, even if he might not be a Descender, if that makes sense. So it means Outlanders might be like immune. Ew, the fact that you pointed that out, it's like the star doesn't necessarily have to be the traveler. It could be Zhongli.
There's also another fun point here. I just clicked into the Genshin Impact wiki to see what it's called in Chinese for the patch, and it was actually called a guest star approaches. And apparently, in Chinese astronomy, a guest star is a star which has suddenly appeared in a place where no star had previously been observed and becomes invisible again after some time.
Invisible again, like Zhongli, because everyone thought he died.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I mean, no, literally. Right?
This is so scary.
And now he's just blending in with society, trying to act like he's not the fucking Geo Archon and retired.
And acting like he's not the Heaven Star.
So it was clearly
like,
about him.
Oh, he's something even older than the Archons. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Very interesting. Okay. I mean,
I love that Zhongli is so, like, characters from 1.0, like Child, I'm sure is going to be heavily relevant once we get to Snezhnaya.
Oh,
especially
100%.
regarding his connection with the third Descender, potentially, right?
Yep.
And then, not to mention Zhongli, who also is a character from 1.1, and more relevant than ever, probably.
Yep.
And it's kind of fun to see how all these old characters, you know, maybe there's hope for La Senora.
I still think she's gonna remain on this Teyvat. On the burning old world. The one thing that always rings back to me every single Lantern Rite and every single time we get Zhongli information or Zhongli lore is he's the goddamn Lord of Geo Heaven, Star, Geo Archon, God of Contracts. Contracts. The contract to end all contracts. We know he made a contract with the Saritsa. We know he's had a contract with the Celestia. I need more information about this contract to end all contracts. I need to know exactly who it's with. I need to know why it is, and I need to know what's in it. That's the one thing that I've been wanting to know for God knows how long in this goddamn game.
Yeah, and it's also just like, why would he give his Gnosis to the Saritsa? Especially considering in 1.1 or just the entire Liyue patch, they were shaping up that the Fatui are bad, right? So we're like, oh, the Fatui are bad. They're always messing stuff up. They're after the Gnosis, and going after the Gnosis is bad. Yeah. And so they established the Fatui as kind of this antagonistic faction. So in the end, when Zhongli willingly gives his Gnosis to the Saritsa, to La Senora, and then it turns out, oh, this was all part of a contract I had with the Saritsa, you're just kind of like, why? Wait, it comes out as a shock, right? You're just like, wait, why would he give it to the Saritsa?
I had an absolute crack theory the other day.
Oh, I want to hear. I love crack theories. Let's hear it.
But it's like an actual crack theory. But hear me out.
I love crack theories.
I'm just gonna let it rip and see where it goes. We can discuss specific parts of it, because I have a feeling some parts are gonna be more true than others of this. But I like how it flows.
Sorry, I sounded like a diarrhea analogy. I'm so sorry. Okay, moving on. Yeah.
I was thinking after we learned about the ship AI, right? If it actually is the Heavenly Principles, and if it is the ship AI where it's looking for a perfect world to house the travelers, and they saw Teyvat as that, I would be curious if the contract to end all contracts was indeed a contract with the ship AI or with the Saritsa after the fact, right?
Oh, that gave me chills. Whoa.
And the reason Zhongli is the one that's kind of leading the charge and giving the Fatui the Gnosis is because of one specific thing, and this is the important part. I don't necessarily think he's in cahoots with the Torre, for example, but with the rest of the Fatui, if you think about what our goal is, which is to find our sister, and inevitably, which we only just learned, to find a planet to house us. But we're treating Teyvat like an arc, right? We have the genetic bank. This is a side point here, but I have a feeling when Vanessa ascended to Celestia, she actually went into the fucking genetic bank. That's a weird one, but I'll talk about that another time, because it's highly to do with something different. If the genetic bank's on Celestia, I feel like when people ascend there, that could be why. But the main thing is, if the main goal of our journey is to find a world to house us, and the main goal of the Fatui's journey is to build a new world, but our goal involves using the Loom of Fate to change fate, and also Lumine has the power to restore old Kamriar, for example, to new Kamriar, right? The way the Fatui is structured weirdly started to add up and make sense for me the other day, because I sat back and thought about it, and I was like, the remaining members of the Fatui, and even old members, they all have a purpose. Every single Fatui Harbinger has a purpose beyond being strong. You have a literal mayor, basically, little Pulcinella, right? The guy that's overseeing everything. You have a goddamn banker for the economy. You have Capitano, who's a captain, like a literal, like he's the Varker of the Harbingers, right? Arlecchino, who's looking after kids and raising them, and whether for good or bad, that's not what I'm saying. We have Dottore, who's literally a doctor, a scientist. Colombina, who's a goddamn god. She's a moon maiden for crying out loud. We have Piero, who's the overseer of all of these people. Every single person is a pillar of what you quote-unquote need to start a new world. They're basically politicians. They're basically a government.
And basically the Fatui has a monopoly on everything.
And if the contract to end all contracts is with the Fatui or the Heavenly Principles, the reason that they could be getting the Gnosis is also so that we can use the blueprints of Teyvat to create this new world and live there instead.
Ooh.
Using the Fatui knowledge and everything to then run that world as well. Or so that they can go to the new world and we can keep Teyvat or something. I don't know. It made me think, and I was like, because I always think about what this contract to end all contracts could be. And that's why I say it's an absolute crack theory. But it is a goddamn fun crack theory, because the Fatui are basically, they literally are just like a structured government organization.
The Fatui have a monopoly over everything, basically, in the new world.
Yeah, other than the world itself.
Like medicine, technology with Sandrone, doctor, medicine, finance, everything. They're going to control it.
I was just going to say, I think things will become a lot more clear when we do figure out who is supposed to be occupying that missing seat.
The 10th Harbinger. And there's also the 6th, technically, too, is also vacant.
Vacant, yeah, but it's more so the missing Harbinger that we never knew of.
That we don't know. Yeah, and the number 10.
That's
such
got to
a big
be
mystery.
So important.
You think they're going to leave it for the Traveler?
It could definitely be. That was one of my... I was thinking one of the Travelers.
This throne is for you.
But I'd be like, what the fuck do you mean 10th, bro? Like, bump me up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also, what do you call it? You were saying how when you die, you return to the genetic bank, which makes so much sense, because if you think about the ley lines, like if you die, you just return to the ley lines and then you get quote unquote reincarnated in a different way. So for example, Kitsune Saigu from the Inazuma World Quest, the Sacred Sakura Tree. Yeah. It's the implication is that Hanachiru Sato, the NPC, I believe, that goes with you through that world quest, is a fragment, a reincarnated fragment of Kitsune Saigu from 500 years ago. So it's almost like I feel like the genetic bank at that point is just the ley lines, or it's just the Irminsul at that point. To a degree, because it's like your soul goes there and then it comes back out, basically. So it's like you're going back into the and then it makes sense, because the reincarnation makes sense, because if you have a genetic vault, that means the only people that can exist are people that already have existed in the genetic vault. So there's no new people that are being reincarnated. It's just that's why. Oh, okay, and that explains the whole process of reincarnation, basically, in Genshin, is that's why the same people keep coming back. That's why history keeps repeating itself. And that's why you need people from the outside, these external factors, outlanders and descenders, because they're what's currently not in the genetic bank. They're currently the people that don't exist
for sure
and won't continue to exist in the world, basically. Sorry, that was just like a spark. I just thought of it when you mentioned genetic vault.
And it's like, yes, but also, I mean, if the genetic vault was brought by the Traveler,
scary,
because it was brought by the ship, right?
But it's also, Bran, I have a question now, because why would they make Teyvat their home? Because the AI was specifically looking for a planet that is not susceptible to being destroyed, right? That's not the exact wording it used, but it's basically it's trying to find a world that won't be destroyed. But Teyvat will, because I remember the Voyager spoke to Nibelung and was like, "Do you and your dragons want to come with me, because Teyvat is doomed. Like Teyvat is going to be destroyed." Nibelung was like, "Nah, I'm good." And then when the Voyager comes back, she sees that Nibelung isn't even there anymore. So it's just interesting, because it's like, why would the AI choose Teyvat, which would make sense why it crash landed there, because it didn't mean to go to Teyvat. It was just probably pulled in, or maybe something damaged it en route and it needed to make an emergency landing. Like, we don't know, right? But it's kind of like, based on the AI's parameters, I don't know that it would have picked Teyvat, because it would have probably chosen it the first time it passed by Teyvat if it was a suitable candidate. So it's just, there's so many questions, right?
I still like to think it did pick it back then. It just maybe either thought it wasn't the right time, or only one of the siblings did go. But I also think it could aid to the fact that the actual world that the travelers are meant to reside on is not Teyvat. It's going to be the new world that's built off of the blueprints of Teyvat. Like I said before, with like the Loom of Fate being able to reconstruct things that the travelers witnessed, hence us being the witness of everything on Teyvat. I don't think this Teyvat is meant to be the final ending place. I think it is going to be a brand new planet that we construct with the Loom of Fate, with the help of Lumine, with new Camria, everything. It'll just be new Teyvat. That's what I think.
That makes sense.
Again, with the genetic bank, the genetic vault, like what you said with the ley lines, it seems it's a crazy fucking thought. But like I said about all of the Fatui having a meaningful point to create this new world, basically, as a governmental organization. What did fucking Capitano do, bro? He literally became the master of the goddamn ley lines.
Yeah.
We have the master of banking, basically.
Big middle finger to Renova.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, talking about this stuff makes my head go kind of crazy, because there's just...
in a good way.
Yes, there's just endless possibilities, and I love thinking about them all, and my thoughts about it change so drastically all the time that I feel like I'm spewing word vomit half the time, but it's so
No, it's great.
fun.
I feel like talking about Genshin lore puts you in a flow state.
Something like that.
So you were talking about how New Teyvat and Zhongli may have made a contract, right, regarding existing in New Teyvat. It's really funny that you say that, because in Zhongli's story quest, I don't remember if it was part 1 or part 2, but at the end, you go to Greenstone Forest and you're at the top talking with him. Oh, that's part 1? Okay, yeah, so it was in part 1. So he talks about how Traveler is going to be the only one who remembers this world as it is.
The witness.
The witness is the only witness left. And basically, when Teyvat is long gone, they're gonna be the only ones that remember anything about it. And it just reminded me of what you were talking about, because you were saying about old Teyvat going away and then new Teyvat coming out. I was just like, so Traveler's gonna be the only person that remembers old Teyvat.
Dotori's gonna burn the goddamn Ermin Soul. Everybody's gonna lose their memories of Teyvat. We're gonna build the new Teyvat, and that's it.
We're gonna build a new Teyvat.
The old world will burn, as the Fatui have already said.
Yeah.
Rosaline, your resting place will be the entirety of the old world.
And they're not gonna bring her back, rude.
I don't know. I really do. I like to believe that's what this whole story is leading up to. But it's tough, because I mean, we've had twists and turns thrown at us 6 ways from Sunday by Hoyoverse. We think we know something, and then the next patch we know nothing.
Yeah. That's how Genshin lore is. You feel like you crack the code, and then they go like, oh, by the way, the AI on the ship was actually Dainsleif or something. And a part of it was actually living in Dainsleif the entire time. So y'all who thought it was Paimon, or everyone who thought it was the Heavenly Principles, I feel like that's so Hoyo of them to do, though. And then there's going to be only one hint about it from 6 years ago, and it was in one web event that has been archived and you can never access it ever again.
I'd love to talk more about Lungan, the nail and stuff.
Oh, the old civilization. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously that was just the chasm. There's no denying it at this point. It was the chasm, the nail dropped, Zibai obviously blocked it, and I always thought like the solar chariot thing was meant to be Zibai blocking it, and then we saw her chariot.
Yeah, I like that.
When it said like the chariot crashed down, in my head, I like to believe that they went with that version of the story instead of the nail, because it was more beautified, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Because like, she
it's more
blocked the nail. Yeah. What do you think about? I assume you think it's the chasm as well, right?
I like that. No, yeah, I was just gonna ask you if that's what you thought. Like this. Remember when we went with Dainsleif to the everything goes back to Dainsleif. When we went with Dainsleif in the chasm quest, and then Halfdan is there. Requiem.
True.
And the something deaths. I feel so bad forgetting. But anyways, it's that civilization underneath, which had similar architecture to Enkonomiya. Is that Langan? Because it would make sense, because that would mean that Langan was just part of the unified civilization. Yes, and it was just like, maybe that's a sector. Maybe the whole unified civilization had an original name to identify as like the whole civilization, but maybe each sector, for example, there's Enkonomiya, there's the civilization in Surimi Island, there's a civilization in the chasm, which I think I agree with you. I think that is Langan, like the structures that we see in the Requiem of Echoing Depths. So it's just like underneath, right? That civilization that's upside down or whatever. Because it would make sense that, the timeline just makes sense. Like when the Celestial Nails dropped, it was during the time of Salvindignir. It was during the time of the Surimi Island Nail, which we haven't actually physically seen yet. It would make sense that would be Langan too. So I do agree with you. All this to say, I think I agree.
Yeah. Do we know why, actually, now that I think about it? Because I keep going back to the whole nail and the fact that Longan is the chasm. Why did they say again that they dropped the nail on Longan?
It's when so remember when the Heavenly Principles destroyed 2 of the moons?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tainted
So
with cursed power.
Yeah. So that's probably why they had to destroy. Oh, I wonder if that's what happened to Salvin Dignir, because they had no idea why they got destroyed either. So I wonder if there's like a moon fragment that landed in Salvin Dignir or something.
Maybe not even a moon fragment, but just some other form of what the Heavenly Principles would consider cursed power.
Like impure, yeah, and curse, yeah.
Likely abyssal energy, right? To be honest, but because we know it's got the power to repel that shit.
But no, I think you're right though. So.
It's crazy how they word the nails as these like purification tools, when in reality they are just weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Like I get it.
I guess not to scare people.
Well, oh yeah, we're gonna purify you.
Yeah, and you're like, yay! Oh, wait a sec.
You know something I've always found very interesting about the nails, though? I often do think of them as like magnetism devices to repel bad energy, because we never see a nail that is like stuck in the ground. No,
it's like floating. Yeah.
It's always floating above, and then underneath it is a very pure looking place. Like with the abyssal corruption not on it.
Yeah, I wonder what it tried to kill, like directly. I say that because wasn't there a domain underneath?
Yes.
Where the nail is, right? So then what is the description of the domain? Because then I wonder if it would actually say, because there has to be a reason why it dropped it so unceremoniously into the ground like that. Whereas the one in the Sumeru desert is just causing a windstorm. I would assume that one's floating. Oh, and then wait, in Surumi Island, the nail is the one that's causing the time disruption, right? And the fog. Is that correct? Like it's causing like the events to loop and it's causing the fog. And then we had to purify it so then it stops. So wait, so are we just like gonna be purifying the celestial nails? Are we gonna be undoing the damage that they're doing? Because that'd be cool if that was the case.
True, if we could not only absorb abyssal energy, but also like celestial energy, I guess.
Yeah, I would assume so, right? But then now I'm thought spiraling, because remember the King Irmin was trying to use our sibling as a vessel for unlimited abyssal energy.
Yes.
They're about to be Conria's nuclear reactor.
But I mean, is it a nuclear reactor, or are they very much aware that there is 2 siblings, one that can harness unlimited celestial energy, one that can harness unlimited abyssal energy, and they just want to purify the lands entirely?
And then it would be like a magnet, because they're opposite energies.
And that's why we can never find each other.
Oh, because we're repelling each other at the moment. So Aether probably needs, not Aether, sorry, Traveler.
We gotta stop sucking that abyssal goop, bro.
I like that theory of magnetism. This is not Lantern Rite related, but you remember in the description of Traveler's new outfit, the AI logged that the twins were born around the time a supernova happened, but the AI doesn't think anything of it. Like, oh, it's probably not related.
Well, the AI is stupid.
Which I was like, that's definitely related. Because usually at the supernova, at the end of it, right, it's gonna form like another star, usually, right, or like a neutron star or something like that. Yeah. And recently they discovered a super kilonova. So it's a really huge supernova that formed 2 twin neutron stars. Oh. And that was like recently discovered, apparently. I think a month before the Traveler's outfit lore dropped or something.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I'm like, that's pretty. And the coincidence, like Genshin's marketing is crazy. Did you see that there's a optical illusion over Russia or something where there's 4 moons in the sky? I'm like, dang, Genshin's marketing is going crazy right now. Like, that's insane.
I did see there was something that looked like a crack in the sky, which I retweeted saying Genshin's marketing team goes crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
Also, I looked it up because it was pissing me off about the whole, like, why did they nail Dragonspine specifically? And it was literally just because it was Salvandignia, and they were trying to, like, contain the abyssal corruption.
Yeah, they had no idea, and I feel so bad.
It was the most memorable one, and I was just like, how did I fucking forget that? I don't know. It's just so much. We're definitely spiraling now into...
Yeah, it's into theories that existed since, or all this lore information that existed since 1.0 and 1.1. It's crazy because it's just a couple things that happen in the Lantern Rite quests that is causing this spiral at the moment. As you can see, I'm going crazy. You're gonna see in the video, my hair is a mess right now. Like I've literally just been working on the Zhongli video the past couple of days. As soon as I got to that part of the ending,
just been ripping your hair out.
As soon as it stopped, I couldn't sleep that night that I did it, and I was just like typing all these notes. Like, you would have thought I was like a zombie, just like typing out everything I was thinking and trying to make connections with everything. Like, oh, is that linking to that? I couldn't sleep.
For the viewers watching, it's currently 30 minutes past midnight here, and I have to set off to the airport in 4.5 hours. But that was a very fun chat. I'm glad that we got around to doing it before I left.
Yeah, good. I'm glad too. That was a lot of fun.
And there is a goddamn Genshin live stream in 7 days. We'll probably...
Oh, I forgot!
We'll probably be yapping again pretty soon. Weekly min chats at this point, gamers.
I'm totally down. This is fun.
We'll see each other soon for
BTS. Like, Viv's story of how she got the tickets was insane. It was our first show that we were trying for tickets. We got pre-sale.
Yep.
And she got a really early number. Got in, we got scared because it was kept telling us that there were no more seats available, and she just stayed there refreshing for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, VIP, sound check, like general admission. First try, 4 tickets, and list price.
It's crazy.
And I was like, Viv, you're RNG, you need to do the lottery right now. You need to do a 10 poll, and that might be a C6 column B. No, I'm not even joking. Like, that luck was insane. No, so the kudos to Viv, honestly.
Yeah, it was
So now
good.
Bran and Jonathan are gonna experience the magic of BTS. I'm so excited for them.
We'll probably vlog it. I think it'll be fun. So if you want to see that, let us know in the comment. If you watch to the end of this video and you're here for this little sneak peek at some possible future very weird non-Genshin related content, let us know if you want that in the comments, because I think it'd be fun. Our girlfriends forced us to see BTS.